The first question is around sort of the emergence of the field that we're all in. Coding boot camps and product boot camps have made pathways into technology more affordable over the past 10 years. And so would love to hear how you think this has affected the demographics of the technology space in those years.
Yeah, no, it's a great point and great question. So when I think about bringing technology and product knowledge to a broader group, you really think about, in my mind, three things. There's race and minorities. There's location, and there's age, right? And as much as you can really embrace all those three dimensions, you will really have accomplished your goal. Um, and so I was looking and digging into the data for NewCamp in particular, and race was really striking. We are seeing right now that 70% of our students are not white or Caucasian, which kind of goes to the point that we really are able, in the coding bootcamp industry at large, I think you'll see that, to bring coding education to a broader audience and broader set of minorities. Um, Age is very interesting to me as well, because I see a lot of students or customers wonder if they want to become students, asking the question, am I too old? And that's a real question, because they are uh, often near the end of their first career, and really wonder if there's a path for them to something else. And I think we're making progress here. I mean, we have actually great students who've been able to, even during their retirement, actually join NewCamp and become instructors with us, for example. I think more needs to be done in that space of really fighting against, I would say, ageism and the perception that maybe sometimes at some point in your life it's kind of too late to do anything.
Right.
I think there's more that needs to be done from a location standpoint. And when you look at, I would say, traditional education for computer science, you could get a computer science degree pretty much at the college nearby. And you wouldn't have to travel very far, typically, to get a degree in tech. When Coding Bootcamp started several years ago, they were very much concentrated on like 13 cities in the US, right? The big tech hubs. And in a way, the pandemic kind of changed that, where many more really coding bootcamps really tried to provide their services online, but it was kind of an afterthought for many, and not necessarily providing exactly the same level of quality or immersion. And so I think that's where we kind of are behind in a way, in terms of providing really access to a broader set of people, is making sure that coding education is very much available where you live, so that you don't have to commute. You don't have to wonder, okay, is there a school nearby? And it could be in person, it could be online, but I think we're kind of behind, traditional education on that one aspect.
Have you seen any changes in that just with the pandemic, and so much more remote work and so many companies switching essentially overnight to being remote and often even saying they're going to stay that way?
Yeah, there's, of course, I mean, everyone was kind of faced with the big decision of move or die in a way. And so a lot of work has been done. But for anyone really familiar with learning science, you cannot take a full-time immersive program and think that it's going to work exactly the same with the same impact by switching it to over Zoom or something like that. So the big thing that needs to happen now is really completely rethink the experience,
Right.
so that it really fits the media that is online.
Right.
Like, you're not going to ask, and actually my kids were asked to do that, and I found that kind of really tough on them. Like, why would you spend 4 hours on Zoom waiting for someone lecturing you? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So
Yes, my children experienced a similar Zoom fatigue that we all know.
yeah.
Carlos, is there anything you want to add to that, and how you've seen, changes or shifts along those demographic kind of spectrums or others?
I started computer science the traditional way, as Ludo was mentioning, so I completely resonate with the solution that you are proposing. And unfortunately, I didn't have access to other schools. I didn't have access to other type of jobs, and it's only until much later in my career when I realized that I could, think a little bit bigger. So I really appreciate what you do. And in general, like I think the coding bootcamps paved the way for what we decided to do. Product management is really connected with engineering, and it is true that we need more engineers in order to collaborate. So I'm glad to see that this trend is happening across the board in so many different skills, like coding,
Yeah.
product design, data, cybersecurity, and I'm sure there will be many others to come.
Right, because by creating this boot camp model, what we're doing is we're shifting from a sort of higher education and learning structure where the idea is like you have to have a degree in something in order to be qualified, where the degree, while is great for a lot of things, is such a high bar. It's very expensive. It's also time consuming, and can often be inaccessible for a lot of people for a number of reasons, especially as you get older, right? People start to have obligations, children, a job that they need to have, and so boot camps have filled that gap. In particular, of people who are know that they want to get into something else and don't necessarily and where a 4-year degree, a full degree maybe is not the right path for them for a number of reasons.